Hello everyone, Christina here. We are jumping right into the creation of this envelope. I've used my We Are Memory Keepers 123 punch board to create this envelope out of Bristol paper. I've chosen Bristol paper because that is the paper I have that is large enough to make a 5x7 envelope out of. And it blends really beautifully with lots of different inks. I'm using this large grip mat from Waffle Flower. I'm going to remove the plastic off one side and keep the other plastic on it, just on the back. I'm using my Geo Mod Stencil Pack that came out, I think it was in December, and there's 3 stencils in this pack. All of them have really kind of generic geometric shapes on them, so it doesn't really matter exactly the positioning of each one of these stencils in comparison to the others, except for the fact that there are little dots for the centers of the flower shapes. So as I start stenciling this, I'm using the color Lemonade for this first stencil. I'm going to be conscious of the fact that I'm going to line up my stencils so that the interior circles of the flower shapes line up. So with this first one, I did a little bit of just the outside edge on some of the larger shapes, like that weird kind of popsicle shape. And then as I move on to the other stencils, I'm going to do the same thing. Notice I'm lining up the centers of the flower. There was that one flower up in the top center. It had just the center. And on this stencil, I'm doing the actual petals. So I lined up the petals around that dot, the yellow dot I did previous. And then as I bring in this color Sweets, that same kind of weird popsicle shape, I'm only going around the outside edge again. This is just going to make it so these shapes overlap really well. All right, for the third stencil, I'm going to be doing the centers of the yellow flowers. So that's what I've lined up just to get a good positioning. And I'm using the color Surf. All of the inks I've used today are from Simon Says Stamp, and they are not waterproof. So you'll see I'll need to do some protection of my design here at the end. So I'm finishing up using the color Surf, and then I'm going to remove the stencil and you'll see the finished design. So there's just 3 stencils in this set, and they are 9x6 stencils. So you could actually get 2 A2 sized cards out of this one stencil design. But since I'm doing a large 5x7 envelope today, it worked really, really well. So I'm using some acrylic markers from Grabie. I think that's how you say their name. I'm basically only using the black today. I probably could have used a black Sharpie or anything else like that. The thing that's nice about using a black marker that's like this, that's acrylic, is that it's pretty permanent once it's dry, and it will apply to practically anything. So Lucy did give me permission to use her address today, and I actually filmed this for my premium members here at YouTube. So if you would like to see this envelope from start to finish in real time with all the details, you'll need to sign up for my premium membership. But one of the things that I wanted to try doing with this particular mail art video was I wanted to see if it would be possible to blur out her address. I know that it bothers some people, even though I do have permission to use different addresses. And I think many times people use like a business address or a PO box. It does bother people, and I am cognizant of that fact. And I've never bothered to blur things before because I have permission, but I just took it as a personal challenge to see if I could blur any personal details for Lucy's address. So let me know in the comments, is this annoying to you having it blurred out, or does it not really matter? In the finished photos, it was easier in Photoshop to just take out her address. So you'll see the squiggly line, but without her street address on it. I just wanted to ask you guys what you think about that. So I did have that like envelope moistener little dauber. It has a little bit of adhesive in it, and I put it on the back of my postage stamps. So you saw me do that. I'll link that down below. That's something I've added to my mail art supplies since you've probably seen me make a mail art envelope. And then also I'm using some Distress Micro Glaze to seal in this design. Like I mentioned, it is using an ink that is not permanent, all those colorful inks from Simon Says Stamp. So you do need to apply this microglaze, but only where there is not a postage stamp. Leave the postage stamps as is, but everything else can get a nice coat of microglaze, and then you buff it in with a scrunched up paper towel like I'm doing here. It doesn't really take off much of the color. It might take off a tiny bit, but it doesn't smear or smudge anything, which I think is really great. So here is the finished envelope. I'm about to drop it in the mail for Lucy. And big thanks to Lucy for letting me use her address, even though all of you here on YouTube are not seeing her address in particular. But those of you on my premium channel or my premium membership, you can watch the full video without any blurring. I don't think you need to do that to go see Lucy's address, but just to show that, you know, how the writing was before I blurred it out. Thanks so much for watching today. Once again, in the comments, let me know how you feel about blurring things out. Is it distracting? Is it annoying? Are you fine with it? Let me know what you think. And thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with another mail art video on Friday.